To the Aro Benaiah Show. Today I'm joined by Cooke, a business coach, international speaker, and author who left behind a career as a quantity surveyor to help thousands of people start and grow their first business. His journey from one last paycheck to freedom is inspiring, and I'm excited for us to dive into his stories and lessons. Once again, it's a pleasure having you here, Tom.
Aro, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
thank you. So, Tom, what was it like growing up?
Honestly, I had a very good upbringing. I was blessed to have that upbringing. My mum, stay-at-home mum. My dad worked in the police in London. So for us, there was always food on the table. I went to a good school. I was looked after. I certainly had challenges at time. It wasn't all good experiences. But I was blessed to have a comfortable upbringing, and I was always looked after. Had some great memories from that. So yeah, I grew up in London. That's where I was born. Moved out to the countryside, out to a place called Dorset. Beautiful place, but for somebody who's a young kid, suddenly I've gone from the city to the middle of nowhere. I didn't know anyone. I'm in this village, and that was tough. That was a hard change for me. That was difficult to adjust to. And I started to get bullied a little bit at that time. But like I said, it was a good. I was taken care of.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, amazing. So, Tom, what was the earlier job you did, or some couples of job you did, before you venture into your professional career?
So when I was growing up, when I started becoming like a teenager, I started to do some washing up in a kitchen just to get some money. I started from there doing waiter work, serving tables, and that was just get money in. Like I just wanted to get some money. And then once I'd gone to university, I studied civil engineering, and uh, it was too maths heavy for me. I struggled with it. Right? I struggled. And then I went into construction, but I worked as a quantity surveyor. And so my role as a quantity surveyor was very much about I would go down to site, I would assess what work had been done on site, what the value of that was, and I enjoyed it because I got to be around these huge construction sites, diggers, cranes, all of these buildings going up, and I enjoyed watching that. But it was about assessing the costs of the project. It was about assessing the finances of the project and then reporting that back to managers, directors, how the jobs were performing. Were they making profit or
Yeah,
not?
wow, amazing. So, what drew you to that career path when you started out?
To, to I started out in quantity surveying because growing up, I'd always enjoyed things like Lego, Meccano, puzzles. Like I was always building things. I was a very hands-on kind of person, and I enjoyed that. And as I'm getting older, I'm thinking, okay, how can I make money? How can I make a career? Because at
Yeah,
school, we're asked, what are you going to do in your life? And I thought construction going into that was the right way to go. So that's why I got into civil engineering first as a degree. That's why I went into being a quantity surveyor, because I thought the right pathway was to go down that route and to make money from building things and being a part of that. I obviously then found out that that's not what I wanted to do in my life, and things did take a turn. But that's where the thought process started.
wow, wow, amazing. Then you took a 6 month travel break in 2018. How did that adventure change your perspective on life and work?
Okay, good. This is a good question because so when I went traveling, I went away for 6 months. I went on my own. I went to New Zealand, and I spent time in Thailand, Cambodia, spent some time in Malaysia as well. And I was away on my own for 6 months. And for the first time in my life, I experienced freedom.
Mm.
I didn't know that before. I didn't really know that. I heard of it, but I didn't know it was a thing. And I was so committed to my career, and I was so committed to working my way up the corporate ladder, and I experienced this taste of freedom. And even just take New Zealand, for example, I ended up buying a camper van out there, and I could go wherever I wanted. I could do whatever I wanted, wherever. And it was the best feeling in the world to wake up in the morning, look at the map, and go, oh, I think I want to head up that direction, and spend the next, 2, 3 days driving up in that way. And my confidence grew. I experienced no stress, complete bliss. And then I returned back after 6 months, ran out of money. All right, no more money left. So I got back home and went back to the same job, same company, same position, and same pay as well. And I remember, so that was July 2018, and I'm back in the office. And the lady, Sarah, she was the HR director. She hands me my new contract of employment. And she said to me, in the contract, it said, if need be, you work weekends, holidays, and any overtime necessary to get the job done. And I felt so trapped doing that, because I thought, is this it now? Am I going to spend the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years working in this job, same desk, same position? And I thought that was it for my life. And I felt trapped, I felt restricted, because I had 6 months of freedom. And then I suddenly saw that I'm going to be spending the rest of my life limited to how much holiday I can have every year, told what I've got to do every day, I've got to show up to work no matter what. I couldn't do it. The whole psychology, the whole attitude, and the whole belief in me had changed about what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to be trapped. I didn't want to be stuck in it anymore.
Wow, amazing. I, I'm just trying to even imagine what it was like. Because 6 months of break, here you were more like if you got a camp and you could go anywhere you want to go. And coming back, it now even become more demanding. Not just working weekdays alone, but including weekend and holiday. It must really be tough for you. So, in 2020, you actually left just with just one last paycheck. Can you walk us through what those few months look like?
So the beginning of 2020 was very difficult. I had handed in my notice at work towards the end of 2019. I gave 3 months notice. And by the time I'd got to the end of 2019, I had my last day at work, and all I was taking away with me was that last paycheck. And I took home about £2,500. And I went into business full time for myself. I started coaching people, I started holding people accountable. The challenge was, in those first couple of months, I hadn't signed up any clients.
Mm.
And I'd run out of money to, obviously, I'd still had bills to pay, I had rent to pay. And I found myself in a desperate situation where I couldn't do my food shopping. The Tesco's we had, the food shop was just over the road, and I couldn't even go over there and do my food shopping. And I jumped online. I thought, I can't do this any longer. And I jumped online and I started looking for shifts at local supermarkets, just to pick up some night shifts, just to get some cash in, just to get some kind of money in. And as I'm looking, I feel pretty embarrassed at this point. I feel distraught with myself that only 2 months in, and I'm already looking to go back to a job, to go back to a work. And I got pretty annoyed at myself. Actually got pretty pissed off at myself that I was thinking about going back to work after no time at all. And that fire and that hunger, it kind of drove something in me to figure out an answer, to figure out a solution. And what I remembered was I had a group of about 100 people that I'd been working on over the last 12 months. And I messaged every single person in that group. And I said, look, you've been part of this group for a little while. What can I do to help you? What can I do to support you? Most people ignored me. Some people said that they didn't need any help. But there was one person who said, Tom, you messaged me at just the right time, just when I need you. And I got on a call with her and I closed her into, she became a coaching client for me. And it showed me that sometimes in your most desperate times, in most desperate situations, you've got to listen to your intuition, because there'll just be an idea or a solution that will come to view and you've just got to go with it. But the struggles for 2020 didn't stop there, because in March that year, we went into lockdown, global pandemic hits, everyone's losing their mind, everyone's confused, everyone's scared. And that became a difficult year, because then everything goes online. Can't do anything physically in person. And what I ended up doing for the rest of that year, I started teaming up with different people. I started doing joint ventures, doing partnerships, getting to know other people and being as visible as I could online. So if there was an opportunity for me to speak somewhere online, if there was an opportunity for me to get my name out there, I would do it. I'd do anything I could to add value to other people and just be present and being seen. And so through 2020, I ended up replacing my job salary that I'd had in my job. So it was tough. It was tough. It was not smooth. It was not. There was no way that there was nothing smooth about it. It was very difficult, but with just persistence and just being as visible as I could, turned it around and made it work.
Wow, amazing. Thank you, Tom. So many people in 9 to 5 dream of freedom but feel trapped. What was the hardest part of breaking free for you?
The hardest part of breaking free, the hardest part of breaking free and being your own business owner is the fact that you are responsible for yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to come along, save you, put food on the table for you, pay all your bills. You've got to figure it out. When you're in a job, somebody's always giving you direction. Hey, I want you to do this report, or you need to hit this deadline. I need you to do this task for me. So you've always, in a job, you've always got somebody directing you and moving you forward. Whether you want to do it or not, it doesn't matter. At least you've still got that direction. But when you step out on your own, and this is my own experience, when I stepped out on my own, it was like, oh, now I have to be the one that tells me what to do. And when you've got fears, you've got doubts, you've got uncertainty, it's hard to get yourself into action. It's so easy to wake up in the morning and go, oh, I don't have to be at work today. I don't have to be at work today. I can just have some extra time in bed. And it's that discipline right there. That's the hard bit. Getting yourself into action when there's no consequences and there's no boss having to go at you for not taking action.
Wow.
That's the hard bit.
Amazing. You said business become a vehicle to freedom. What does freedom mean to you now?
So yeah, I like this. So freedom means to me now is being happy in what you're doing, but being able to have choice in what you do as well.
Wow.
I used to thought like freedom was just having like millions and millions of pounds and being super wealthy. But I've actually realized over these last few years, if you're earning a good amount of money, you're okay, everything's paid for, and you're happy and you enjoy what you do and you have choice in what you do as well, that's freedom.
Wow, this is amazing. Freedom is being happy in what you do. And yeah, this
Can I ask you? Can I ask you?
yeah.
What's your definition of freedom?
Yeah, I think I've not actually more like rationalized it for now. I've not think about it, but the fact that I just make reference of it just speak for them, because after graduation as an electrical electronic engineer, I run industrial cleaning, and and just hearing your story just make it easier for me to put my experience in word. Being that now I don't have more like a boss figure that says come to work, do this and that. It's only when I have an ID job I can tell my client that I'll show up tomorrow, I'll show up next tomorrow. It now requires discipline to show up and to be consistent at it. And the fact that yeah, it might look as though it's my kind of job is not kind of a white collar jobs, it's just blue collars and not necessarily require any brain task or anything at all. But it's lovely being that I choose myself for what I do and I love what I do.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you. Yeah. So looking back, what mistake did you make in those early days? So that you can actually help others who are looking forward to more like living their 9 to 5 and being towards their way to freedom. What are those mistakes you actually make when actually starting out?
So it's a mistake. So the first mistake, and I share this a lot with people, is I quit my job too early. Right? For the reason I just explained, the story I just shared. What happened is not being able to pay for food, not being able to pay bills because I've run out of money, creates desperation. And that can repel people. Like people
Yeah.
smell desperation from a mile away. And business is about helping people, it's about helping them solve their problems. And if you're in it for you and you're just trying to get money, people can smell that. And it repels. They're not interested in that. And I think about it now, I probably should have stayed in my job a little bit longer. And there's nothing bad about that. It's just built up my business for longer on the side until my side income from my side business matched or was close to matching my job income. And then I could have just made a smooth transition. Right? Now, the way the cards fell, I made it work. I figured it out. But I think people get put off by starting a business because they think they have to quit their job to do it. And you don't. You can build it on the side. All right. You might have only a few hours every week to do it. That is what it is. Whatever time you do have, you just put into your business. Right? If you've only got 2 hours a week, you've only got 2 hours a week, but use that 2 hours to grow your business. It's going to take you longer to grow things, but over time things get faster, it speeds up. And that was the first mistake. The second mistake was not managing money. So as much as I'd make money, I would also spend money as well. And in fact, I started to make good money in business. And I think I probably got a bit cocky. I got a bit arrogant. I thought I'm kind of making it now. Things are going good. This is how it's always going to be. And I started to buy really nice things. I started to go out for really fancy dinners. And I remember I took my mum and my sister out for a really nice dinner. It cost a lot of money. We had a great time. And it was fine. We had this amazing experience. But what happened is I didn't sign up another client for another 3 months. And that stung. So it's things like that which set me back. And I mismanaged my money. I got into a lot of debt. I took out a lot of loans and credit cards, and I lost control with it. And I ended up defaulting on my loans. So that puts a black mark against my name, against my credit, and it caused a lot of problems. And whilst I got the debt under control, the knock-on effect of having that slowed me down, I reckon, about 5 years. And it could have been avoided if I simply learn how to manage money, but not only learn it, actually implement the habits of managing money as well. I think for anyone, if you started a business, you've got a business without money and a business with a negative cash flow is not a business that's going to survive very long.
Yeah.
And if you haven't started in business yet, that's okay, but you can manage your money now with the money that you get from a job. And it's about living below your means. Because people are overspending, like I was overspending, and sooner or later that's going to catch up with you.
Yeah, that's so true.
And it causes a lot of problems.
So true. I think this is really, really amazing. And And the fact that you make reference of it that not necessarily just quitting your job, you could actually start your company and your side projects, let's say 2 hours from every days of work, and prettily you can actually build your what you want to build from that, and so that when you're transitioning, it's easier for you to just easily transition without necessarily having to just go all out and dive into what you want to do. Because I think for me, it was, yeah, as I was 2020, I was working in this particular company. Owing to the lockdown, I was in my 300, but school was on shutdown. So I reached out to a construction company that I was working with. I was working with a surveyor, and I was working as a younger surveyor, and helping the surveyors to carry out some calculation in respect of the costs and everything. And yeah, I think that actually taught me a whole lot about jobs, and because I didn't have much of free time, week in and week out, no weekend, nothing at all. It was pretty really crazy. So during this period of this work, I I think I could still remember end of the month, they wouldn't get to pay us on time until sometimes 5th, 6th, even 7th and 8th of the next month before we get our paycheck. And that got me a little bit frustrated, meaning that I think I was seeing older persons around. I see how frustrated they were, and the fact that the paycheck didn't come on time, and I was like, wow, I wouldn't want to experience this kind of stuff when
Yeah, if they're not paying you on time, it's probably because the money's not there.
yeah, actually. So that actually was like just told me how I was like, once I leave this job, I don't think I will necessarily want to get employed anymore. I think the day I left, I was in school, and then I already started my side project. Letting all my colleagues know that I run cleaning, industrial cleaning and painting. And before I could graduate, I already have some couples of customers that after graduation, I don't need to even reach out for any jobs. It has been most of those couples of clients coming into being. And the fact that you make reference of living below your means really speak volume to when starting out. Most times, it's the bottom line can be very, very, how will I make reference of it? Making ends meet can be very, very demanding. So you have to cut your means down very, very low, because you don't know when the next job is going to come into being. As you make reference of example, it was within the space of 3 months. And when you're reaching out to clients, they could easily sense your desperation. So you have to tune it down by having at least some cut-out phone that can take you a longer period of time without necessarily sounding very, very more like eager to close deal when the deal is not even profitable. They will sense it, and at the end of the day, you are going to regret it signing into it. And I think the fact that I was able to learn that earlier on, though I didn't even know that I was learning it, but the fact that I actually know those things really, really helped me, because I could easily just walk away from some couples of jobs that didn't actually get the necessary demand, being that I was able to say that, okay, even if I didn't get the job, I can still live for so period of time. And that really helped me a whole lot. And just hearing it from you just make it easier for me to tell. Yeah, thank you, Tom.
Life's so much better if you're managing your
Yeah,
money, if you've got money in the bank, if you know the money that you've got is going to last you
yeah,
for longer. There's nothing worse than every single month being in panic mode, stressed, because you don't know where the money's coming from. You've got bills and you don't know how to pay it. But it doesn't have to be like that.
yeah,
People think that they have to earn a lot of money, and thousands and thousands and thousands, in order to solve their money problems. But you know what? If they just simply managed the money they
yeah.
had and they made some more responsible decisions about the money that they're spending, then they'd be in a better position.
Yeah, so true, so true. Thanks for that. So for young trade people or workers listening to us, what is the first step they can take to turn their skill into income?
Okay, this is good. So the first thing is they obviously need to understand what skills they have. And so what are those skills? What innate talents do you have? Because at Arrow, there'll be things that you're good at that I'm not very good at. There'll be things that I'm
Yeah,
good at that you're not very good at. So with these, what's unique to you? What do people ask you for help and support with? What naturally comes easy to you, which other people find difficult? So getting clear on those things. Think about as well, what are your experiences? What have been the victories in life, the defeats in life? What is it where the moments where you've achieved something or the moments that you've lost something? Because even the mess, even the bad experiences can still be turned into something good.
yeah, so
So
true.
you're going to find out all those things. And then you got to think about every day that people struggle with? What are their problems? What are their challenges? What frustrates people? And I always see what I've found is people will typically spend money in 6 areas. Most money every year is spent on the areas of health, wealth, finances, relationships, things that give us inconvenience, things that inconvenience us every day, social status. People want recognition. They want to be recognized. They want to be seen as rising up. This is why people want
Yeah.
promotions, because not only is it more money, but it's also that social status as well. And then the last one, the sixth problem, is emotions. So then it's finding from all your skills, your talents, your abilities, and look at people's problems. And then where are those sweet spots? And you just end up doing a bit of brainstorming, but where are the common links? Where do those two lists come together? And it's from there that you start getting your business ideas. And you might come out of that with 3 ideas. That's okay, because then you want to start
Yeah.
validating them. And with the internet these days, with AI, Google, Facebook, all of this, it's so easy to find out if there's actually a market for your business idea.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think the step you just make reference of really speak volume, because at the end of the day, gauging your skills and know how it serve the market is very, very key. Because it's not just being passionate about a particular thing, and at the end of the day, what you're passionate about, what you have skills about, is not recognized in the market. At the end of the day, we can't call that skill. So it's you actually more like gauging it, and yeah, coming up with the idea and testing it with the market to know what the market is willing to pay for, and to know what you can actually scale, and to know what you can actually work with. Really speak volume to what is going to kind of at the end of the day lead to source of incomes when it comes to scale. So a lot
Yeah.
of persons get stuck on logo, websites and branding. But you say logo don't pay bill. Can you actually expand on that?
Yeah. I It's frustrating because so many, and I understand why, but people are thinking about starting a business or they've just started and they go, right, I need a logo. I need to have a nice fancy logo. I need to get my branding colors done. You don't need any of that. Why? Because the market simply does not care what your logo looks like, what your business name is, and what your branding colors are. All they care about is how you help them. All they care about is how you solve their problem. Right? So
Yeah.
I see people spending money on logos, on getting a name sorted. You don't need to spend money on any of that. You just need to figure out what is the problem that you're solving. Because people at the end of the day, they won't buy into you for your logo and what it looks like. They buy into you for who you are and how you solve people's problems. So it's a waste of money and it's a waste of time. And I think people get caught up in doing logos or sorting the business name out because they feel like they're working on their business. At night time, they can go to bed and go, well, I've worked on my logo today. I'm moving my business forward. But actually, this is just fear in disguise.
Yeah.
They're scared about actually doing what really matters to grow a business, which is getting in front of clients, talking to them, finding out what they want and making offers to them. But that scares people a lot because they bury their head in the easy work, like coming up with a business name or a logo. With AI now, you can jump online and you can create a logo in 3 minutes.
Yeah. So true. So true.
But people take months to do this.
Yeah. So true. So what fear do you see most people of people think about starting a business, and how do you think they can actually be able to overcome those fears when starting out?
Yeah, one fear is people are afraid of failing. They're worried
Mm,
about starting a business, putting money into it, and then the business not working and losing that money. And that's why I say validate your business idea. Check. There's no point starting a business, setting up something new if nobody's going to buy it. So you've got to validate that idea first, and just a quick bit of research will tell you whether there's a market for it. So people are scared of failing, and I always say, like, let's say you failed. Like, what is the worst case scenario? Like, what is the absolute worst? Because even if you lost it all, and the chance of that happening is so small,
Yeah.
but even if you lost it all, you can still come back from that. You can still have a comeback. You can still make it work. You can still return from like even the worst situation. But the reality is that that's not going to happen. And people do lose it all. Like, it's not to say that they don't. And there's that stat that goes around, like 90% of businesses fail by year 5. That happens. But what that stat doesn't tell you is how many people failed in business but then just started a new one. I think the only failure is just giving up on your dreams altogether and just stopping. But
Yeah.
failure just means not getting what you want. So if you go all in on it, you commit to it, and you just learn from every situation, and you keep driving to what you want, eventually you'll get there. I can't promise how long it will
Yeah.
take, but if you keep going, eventually you will get there. So that's the first thing. The second, the opposite to that, people are worried about success. Well, what if it does actually work? And they're worried about more money, they're worried about all the clients, they're worried about getting more exposure and visibility. But what they're really afraid of is the responsibility. People are afraid of taking on more responsibility because they're worried that they can't handle it. I always say, in that situation, you have an ability to respond to anything. That's what responsibility means. You have to trust yourself that when you become that successful and you're making more money, you got clients and the visibility, you have to trust yourself that you can deal with it, because you wouldn't be in that situation if you couldn't.
Yeah.
And I've said to clients before, I've said to my friends before, whatever challenge comes your way, you're sent that challenge because you can handle it. You'll never be given a challenge that you can't handle.
Yeah.
It will never. Okay. So that's the second fear, and then the third fear is simply people are worried about what other people will think about them. What will my parents say? What will my friends think of me? What will my boss say and the people at work? And we let the opinion of other people stop us from going after what we really want in life. But at the end of the day, you're going to get to the end of your life. Those people won't be, well, your parents, or maybe, I don't know, friends. They might be at your funeral, but these people at work that we worry about, they're not going to be at your funeral. Like, who cares? Who cares?
Oh.
And you've probably seen that phrase online. It says, the opinion, what other people think about you is none of your business. Yeah. And it's true. Like, let them think that. Okay? If they're going to be, some people will want to see you fail. Fine. Right? That's just the way they're made up. But the majority of people will want to see you succeed because it inspires them.
Wow, this is pretty really amazing. The fear most times is how they are going to handle failure, how they are going to handle success, and what other people think of them. I think this really leads people when they cut across every industry, because especially starting out, having to quit your job or starting out a new thing, there's a whole lot of myths on what is going to be like. There's a whole lot of uncertainty. And I think for me, what has make it easier for me to go through that particular route without looking forward to 9 to 5 job is the fact that I always have this mindset that, yeah, even if I fail it, I won't call it fail. I will just see it as the part of learning more, because I reading histories and seeing a whole lot of Andrew Carnegie, each and every one of them that actually did a whole lot of stuff through their lifetime, and yeah, their view of failure was not actually failure. They were just seen as experience, more like experiment towards the desired goal. So me actually seeing every failure as experiments really make me, even if I fail, it make me energetic, owing to I'm coming from the fact that, wow, this just showed me another way that doesn't work. Let me try other means that actually work, and it has actually helped me pretty well. So you have coached over 2,000 people to start business. What is one story that really stand out for you?
I think recently I was finished with a client. This was last week, and she comes to my mind because I worked with her for about 9 months. Worked with her for about 9 months, and she was in a place where it wasn't that she was confused, she was just doing a lot. She had a lot of different ideas, a lot of different strategies that she was doing, a lot of different marketing ideas that she was implementing, and she was all over the place, right? And I get it. I think entrepreneurs, they often have a lot of creative ideas. They have a lot of things that they want to do. I'll do a bit of this, I'll do a bit of that. And so she was really slowing herself down. But then over the last 9 months, it's just been a case of getting her focused, simplifying the business as well. I think for anybody listening, if you're going to go into business or you've started your business, simplify it for yourself. It becomes a lot easier, right? A lot less headache if you've simplified it. And that's what we did for her. And so she ended up just having a single, one type of client, solving one type of problem. She was helping, this was in India, she was helping yoga teachers. And one type of client, one type of problem, and all she was doing was just doing webinars. And she just stuck with that. And she's grown her business by 480% in the last 9 months.
Wow.
And it all came from her. I mean, she's got to give credit to her. She's put the work in. She's gone for it, and she's been consistent, but she's just simplified, and that's what's caused the explosion for her in her results.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for that. And I think the fact that you're able to work with her and simplifies is just equaling to when a whole lot of our entrepreneurs actually started out, there are a whole lot of couples of things they don't go alongside. As it goes, you have to stimulate it so that it make it easier to execute, and also it make it easier to, in a way that even if you're not there, it's something that can still work out without necessarily being in the background always. And the fact that you make reference of that, you're able to kind of help her just speak volume to. Yeah, you might actually start out with a whole lot of couples of things, but the ultimate goal is to kind of simplify it and make it easier to get done. Yeah, thank you so much. So, for trade people specifically, how can they use apprentice or internship as a stepping stone in starting their business?
Learn. If you're going to go into an apprenticeship or an internship, use that time to study from somebody who is ahead of you. And it's a case of like, watch what they do, ask them lots of questions, but also find out the things that, they probably don't do so well. Right? And I think some people they try and skip this stage. I invested in coaching, I invested in mentoring because I had no idea about business.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn about how to grow a business. So I invested in getting some help. Great. If you're going to go into an apprenticeship or an internship, use that time to learn from somebody who has the skill. And be in that learning process, be engaged as well. Don't be a passive learner, be an active learner.
Yeah.
So ask, review what you've been learning. Ask whoever you're learning from, ask them lots of questions. Show an engaged interest in what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alton. How important is mindset when it comes to migrating from that of employees to that of being an entrepreneur? What role does mindset actually play?
Mindset's everything, because the 6 inches between your ears is what's going to affect the results that you get in real life. Everything and this is in any industry, in sports, in business, in health, relationships, absolutely everything. What goes on between our ears and the things that we say to ourselves every single day shows up in reality for our life.
Yeah.
And if somebody's bank balance is the direct impact of what they say to themselves every day. The state of somebody's relationship is what they say to themselves every day. And if you see somebody constantly having problems, crisis, issues in their life, it comes from what's going on up here. The self-esteem, how they feel about themselves, their self-ideals, and their self-image as well, like what they see of themselves. And the only way for your results in life to get better is for you to grow yourself. And I know that sounds very cliche, it sounds very woo-woo, but it is the truth. And I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in clients, I've seen it in other people. When they start to grow themselves, that's when the results go up.
Yeah.
But it also works. I've seen people's results grow, but because the mindset's not there, they start sabotaging themselves.
Yeah, so true.
Make poor decisions, get involved with the wrong people, and then the results start to come back down in line with the way that they think.
Yeah, so true. I think it just be willing to, at the end of the day, your business is going to rise to the level of your mindset, and yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's going to be at that particular level. Either you are increasing and gaining more in terms of your capacity, in terms of your mindset and everything, or you are actually going down, and your business is definitely going to show it on the graph. So you are an actor and an international speaker. How has sharing your stories opened new door for you?
Sharing the story. How's it opened the doors? The more I've been visible, the more I've put myself out there, it generates interest. Like I've always enjoyed listening to people's stories.
Yeah.
That's where I've learned the most. But the more I've just found that the more I've shown up, the more energy I've put into my business, the more effort I've put to make myself visible, doors have naturally started to open. And people are, hey, Tom, we're doing this event. Can you come and support? Can you come and help? Yeah. Tom, I'm doing a podcast. Can you come on? Oh, yeah. Somebody in the first year, this was the first year, this was 2020, COVID. Somebody asked me to do the foreword on their book. They said, Tom, can you write the foreword for it? I was like, yeah,
Right.
I can. I'd do anything just to be
Yeah.
visible, to put myself out there. And I think for anybody going into business, put yourself out there as much as possible.
Yeah.
If you can get to a network meeting and speak to a couple of people, if you can jump on a podcast and speak to people, fantastic. Nowadays we can jump on a phone and we can go live on social media and share value. I mean, instantly you're putting yourself and making yourself visible. It starts to open doors. But the reason that's happening is because it's building the know, like, and trust factor with people. The more people see you, the more they naturally get to know you, they get to like you, and they get to trust you more.
Yeah, so true. Thank you so much for that. And finally, Tom, if you could go back and talk to Tom, just starting out in 2020, what will you tell him?
I have to say the first thing that goes in my head, for some reason, go back to work. I don't know why I came in. I think it's like comes back to like maybe quitting my job too early. But I don't want that to sound. I don't want it to sound like a defeated attitude. It's not. It's just like I created so many problems for myself by quitting too early. And I think if I just go back to work, just keep creating stable income, managing money, keep managing that money. That's what I'd tell myself. Manage your money. Right? And I'd shake myself and I'd manage your money. That's what I'd tell myself. If I go back to where I was in 2020 and manage that money, because if you don't, it's going to cause so many problems for you down the line. And I would have sped my journey up so much more if I'd just managed the money that I was having.
Wow, amazing. Thanks for that. Thanks for leaving us with that. So, Tom, how can our audience learn more about you, do business with you, and connect? Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So Instagram, is the place that I'm most active. The handle is Tom WJ Cooke, Cook with an E. I've got my book as well, which is on Amazon. It's Time to Win Big. That's where you can learn more about the story and what I do, and also my email, which is tom@tomwjcook.com.
Wow, amazing. Thank you, Tom, for sharing your stories. It's really, really inspiring. And the fact that you make reference of the mistake and how you overcome them just speak volumes to yeah, at the end of the day, your income is going to rise. How will I make reference of it? It's as though when it comes to spending and everything, your rate of spend is going to rise to your income. So if you didn't monitor it and cut it down, definitely as keep earning more, your expenses rise at the same time. Sometimes it becomes so demanding that managing money becomes so difficult. So as much as you want to learn how to do business, one must learn how to manage money in it. If not, at the end of the day, it's going to run out bankruptcy. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tom, this has been a powerful. You have shown us the raw side of living a steady job and the mistake to avoid and the real step to freedom. For anyone listening who wants to go deeper, uh, Tom has a free resources called the 18-step roadmap to starting a business. You can grab it at tomwjcook.com. It's a practical guide to help you turn your skills into income. Tom, thank you for sharing your journey with us today on the Aro Benaiah Show.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.